Hey, you guys think you know which way it's going to go?
Yeah.
Always.
Well, you should head on and over to Sports Interaction, whatever sport. Sports Interaction has you covered pregame, live and betting, and all major sports. And, of course, your prop bets. If you want to bet, where do you go, guys?
Sports Interaction.
Sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Come on. 19 plus, please play responsibly.
I felt like when I walked away from that game, I'm like, really, it sucks the Leafs lost. It sucks that they lost the way they always do, which is giving up a lead in the third. But this is the best team in hockey. They're better than they've ever been. Than the Leafs.
They lost the way they always do, but okay, can't wait to see what can't wait to hear what follows the but.
But I thought, you know what? This is the best team in hockey, and you're going to lose games against the best team in hockey.
Said that.
And they fought them right to the end.
Said that.
And I felt like, I don't know. I didn't feel that bad about it. But your reaction to it, I was genuinely taken aback by. I was like, I didn't look at it. I don't think you're wrong necessarily, but it did not hit me the end of the game the way I think it hit you.
I would ask you, which is it? I'm not wrong, or you were taken aback?
Well, I think there's an argument to be made of demanding greatness, right?
Uh-huh.
Which I think is what your LFR is about. You're demanding Boston is greatness, and you said it.
They are greatness.
And they're going to clip that and send that to you for the rest of your life, just so you know.
Bruins fans, where you been? I got too many tweets from Bruins fans like, he must have lost the bet. Oh my goodness. Like, what? A Leaf fan saying that? I've been saying this about Boston for years. I've been saying this about the Bruins for years. Pay attention.
They are the dragon. They're the monster.
Give me the credit I deserve. I've been saying that about them for years.
But what I was surprised at, I think, was that, like, I think most people are looking at that game and going, well, they're a great team and you lose to great teams sometimes.
Yeah.
So what?
But
what was different for you?
I also hear, well, the Leafs really flub it against the bad teams, but you know what? They really show up for the good teams. Which is it? The Leafs, they got those spaghetti goalposts. They got those.
What's the TikTok thing where the woo,
yeah. They got those wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man goalposts.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with pointing out that A, the Leafs are extremely good.
Yeah.
B, the Leafs can very obviously hang with the Boston Bruins, who they beat last time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And C, they lost the same way they always do, by giving away the game. They gave it away. Like Tampa, the game 7 against Tampa, I think that was an interesting case of, you got bested. But almost every other playoff series you can look at and go, here's how they gave it away. They gave this one away. Connor Timmins, before the game, was like, I'm going to watch exclusively Alex Galchenyuk highlights, and that's how I'm going to play tonight. And just gave it right away at the blue line, D-to-D pass. You get
rough.
Kicked off of video game hockey teams for doing that, Ian. And, Rielly, abysmal, not good enough. It's got to be better. And your captain, like, do we ever expect Patrice Bergeron to ever let the Bruins down in any way, shape, or form?
I'm sure he has. We don't watch them as closely as Bruins fans, right, Jess?
Yeah, 100%.
I'm sure he has.
I'm sure he has.
You're making grand statements about very
you're upset with
things.
Tavares has been amazing this year.
And he held himself accountable after the game by calling himself out for making a bad mistake with less than 90 seconds left in regulation. Don't take it up with me. Take it up with John.
I was very confused at who you were upset with during your LFR, because it didn't sound like you were talking about the team or the players. It sounded like you were talking about fans' reaction to a middle of the season loss.
It's all of it.
Okay.
As
It's all
opposed
of it.
to
Okay.
like you're analyzing the team and where they're at.
I'm sorry. When did it become prohibited for me specifically to get upset about a Leafs loss?
Oh, I
Because it happened
We're not saying.
recently.
Hey, listen,
Nobody said that.
Nobody said that.
Bullshit! No one said that.
No, I'm talking about me in this room. I didn't say that.
I'll give you my.
who are
I'll
you-
give you
who are
my
you
Twitter
talking
for
to?
24 hours.
Okay,
You would fucking melt.
You're talking about your Twitter.
We're not saying
We're
that.
not having that conversation.
I'm just saying I had a different reaction than you did.
I just need to know what either of you are upset about, because I'm sitting here and I'm still very confused.
Oh, I'm not upset.
I asked what?
Or concerned about, or what your questions
you mean
are
with the Leafs?
about me.
Oh no, I
It
was
seems
just
to be with my
nothing.
reaction to the team.
certainly not. No, my whole thing is that I was and I said this, I think, in my opening statement, that I think that I thought, I was like, wow, like I didn't listen to you and go, this guy's fucking crazy. I was like, okay, well, that's a really good point. Because what I found myself doing was asking myself, am I holding this team to the standard that they should be held to, which is Stanley Cup contender, right? And that's what I did, because I had so much fun watching the game on Saturday night, and like a bunch of Bruins fans, including P. Blackburn, tried to like dunk on me. I'm like, I don't know, man. I had a good time. This is a fun game.
It was a fun game.
And so I enjoyed it. Yeah. But my, I guess when I listened to your reaction, I thought, okay, like, am I in Loserville here? Am I expecting not enough? I guess there's a more eloquent way to put it. That's what your video kind of challenged me on, and I haven't been able to come to a conclusion on it. Is that fair?
Yeah, and my point was to piggyback of Adam's reaction, because I feel like a lot of people had Adam's reaction to that, and then in the LFR, you seemed to take issue with people who had a reaction like Adam's, where I was like, oh, that was a good game.
No. It was a good game. I said it was.
You did.
Good
You
game.
did say that.
Yeah.
You did say that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good game.
But it's not enough.
When it comes to these tight games, why does it always seem to be the Leafs to be the ones to give it away?
But they won the last one.
They did win the last one.
So
We
it's
all
not-
acknowledge
So it's not every time.
but Jesse, you're moving the goalposts again. This was a tight, entertaining game where it was given away in the final 90 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what the previous game against the Bruins was. That was a solid, hard-fought win under unique circumstances. We all seem to acknowledge.
This was a solid, hard-fought game where they have Morgan Rielly, who's playing like dog shit, playing right now on the most minutes out of anybody.
Which is
And then
ridiculous, by the way.
They have a guy who couldn't make the Arizona Coyotes as their second top pair defenseman. Like, I feel like that's a better analysis.
Oh, Jesse, that's trash. No one was talking about Connor Timmins in that regard heading into this game. Not one person was talking about, it's Connor Timmins. He fucking sucks. No one was talking about him in that regard.
When he's showing who he's like coming back to where he actually should be. So like I take from that game, like we have so much time left in the season. They're at 44 games. I'm like, okay, so now we need to evaluate the defense and see like Timmins probably shouldn't be playing this much. We need Rielly to get back with Brody because we've tried him with Jordy Ben, we've tried him with Justin Hall, and now we've tried him with Connor Timmins, and that doesn't work. Like I'm looking at this game like how we sit and we look at every game where we just look at what happened and we evaluate going forward. I didn't know it was a special game.
Well, you didn't?
It's a little special.
It's a little special.
The Leafs for they're fourth now, I think, but for all of last week they were second in the league and second in the division.
Mm-hmm.
The Bruins are the litmus test, and it's just another game.
Yeah, not just another game in terms of like going into it. Obviously, it felt like a playoff game. Like Adam, you're very right.
Man,
about
and the
watching it.
fans
no
were
wonder they
bananas.
lost.
I mean, coming out of it, like I didn't like the reaction to it should be like, hey, this is how we evaluate all the games. So we got to evaluate this one. Like we evaluate it as it was, in that we're moving forward here. We're not blowing things up because of what happened.
I didn't say to blow things up.
Yeah.
I wasn't even offering what to change other than Morgan Rielly needs to pull his head out of his ass.
Yeah.
What I was offering is it does seem to always be you. You know what I mean? The Leafs lose on Tuesday against Florida, and it's identical. I won't be as upset. The Leafs lost to the Red Wings. What was it? The game before the Bruins?
Yep.
I wasn't upset. Second half of back-to-back with travel. Guys are sick.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't as upset.
So-
This was a litmus test. It was fair to call it that. And once again,
So what were the
really
things?
really good, lost.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's get into it, because I think that distinction is important, and I want to know. To me, I think you're right in the fact that is it game 43?
It was 44.
44.
4K, game 44.
Mhm.
That part doesn't matter. That they play Boston matters.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
Not all regular season games are equal.
Of course. Otherwise, there wouldn't be dynamic ticket pricing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think I want to start. Let's start from the beginning of it because there's a few things that both of you mentioned that I do want to talk about. I think the first thing is starting on time, and this is something where if you're a Leaf fan, I think we should all be united in this. There's no argument to the contrary that the Leafs have had an issue over the last 5 to 7 years starting on time, and this was not the game to not start on time. They've been better about it this year.
They have been
Way better.
but way too often it's an intensity issue. Like the Bruins came out frigging flying, and they played with an unbelievable intensity to start. I would say the opening 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's amazing how often those opening 2 minutes seem to define a game. I don't think it defined this one, but they owned the Leafs in the first period. And the Leafs were probably lucky to come out of the first period with the result that they did, it only being 1-1. Matt Murray made the best save of his Leafs career, probably. That was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm trying to remember the first goal.
Was it Michael Bunting?
It was Bunting. I'm trying to remember exactly how it happened. Like, good result for a period where Boston utterly dominated.
16-6 with the shot.
Yeah, and listen,
You shouldn't have had a goal in that period.
sometimes you're going to get your show run, and it's sort of how you weather the storm. That was encouraging, actually. I thought. I didn't like the start, but it was encouraging overall. I just looked at the Leafs goals,
Mm-hmm.
and the Leafs took it from the Bruins. They took those goals from the Bruins. That's good,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't just rely on what the other team gives you. I look at the playoffs, and this is a playoff litmus test. It is. Don't apologize for that. When it's even and there are good teams involved, there always are, you cannot give up anything. And it feels like the Bruins did not need to take anything from the Leafs. The Leafs happily gave it to them.
So let's talk about one of the ones that was most noticeable, and there was obviously two of them that were really big.
Yeah.
The first one, obviously, being Connor Timmins' cross blue line pass to Morgan Rielly in the offensive zone without looking. He didn't look. Brainless. And I remember, I think I tweeted like midway through the second period, I'm like, okay, it's probably time to split those two up. It's interesting. A lot of people are on Connor Timmins about that. To me, Connor Timmins sat 2 or 3 games previous to this little 3 games and 4 nights trip. And, he'd been playing limited minutes. He'd been playing third line, and then he sort of moved up to the second defense pairing. And then against Boston, Sheldon Keefe's big idea is to put him on a top pair with Morgan Rielly, who cannot play hockey very well right now.
Yeah.
So to me, I know Connor Timmins did the play.
Oh, yeah.
But to put Connor Timmins in that position, I squarely put on, if it was Kyle Dubas that walked down to Sheldon Keefe's office and said, God damn it, I didn't spend an AHL player for this guy for you to sit him.
Can you name him?
I don't even know who they traded.
Curtis Douglas.
Oh, Curtis Douglas. I didn't trade Curtis Douglas for nothing.
The other day I was like,
Yeah, and people were like upset about it at the time, which is weird.
No.
If it was Keefe's decision, if it was Dubas's decision, whoever's decision that was, and I'm assuming it's Keefe, because I do know, like, our understanding of the Leafs organization is the GM doesn't get too involved in the line stuff. The reality is that is on Sheldon Keefe. You've got a top pairing defenseman who Morgan Rielly is, and he's paid like, who's not performing like that. So you can't play him on the top pair. Wedging a guy coming off of a 2-month injury into the top pair is not the way to do it. Work him through the lineup and let him get back to where he was. And then, guy who has played 47 career games, you're going to put him in a game against the Leafs' biggest rival of the last 2 decades. They're the best team in the NHL. And he's going to, because really, if this was an optimal situation, Morgan Rielly would be the guy you'd rely on, right?
Yeah.
You take Morgan beside, listen, Connor, we're trying him out. We think you guys might have some chemistry. This is a big game, though. So do you think you can pick up a little slack if he makes a few mistakes? But you can't ask Morgan to do that because Morgan can't clean up his own mistakes right now.
No, and he makes way too many of them.
And so
He's fighting it hard.
So that, for me, is a Sheldon Keefe Leafs management issue.
It felt like he was half right. Because he put Timmins and Rielly together, which I don't hate because that keeps Liljegren and Sandin together and Gio and Hall together.
Mm-hmm.
But the logic there should be, all right, now I can ride those two pairs more.
And put the others at a third period.
Yeah.
Which is what he did with Brody and Timmins. And it worked really well.
Yeah.
Right. And what happened was I did the brief timeline. Like they tried out Rielly and Hall and it was a disaster. They tried out Rielly and Jordy Ben and it was a disaster. So then now they're trying out Timmins and Rielly and it doesn't work. And the common denominator here is Morgan Rielly's not up to where he should be. You know,
Yeah, so take him out of the lineup.
Sheldon Keefe needs to fix what's happening here with Morgan Rielly and play him less minutes. You can't scratch him. Like, I don't think that's going to help scratching, but you don't play him top pair minutes.
So
there's a big issue.
So I was wondering, though, because the play has been so noticeably bad, guys. Is there any world where this guy isn't still hurt? He's still got to be hurt, right?
I think, like, if you want to scratch him, like, that's the excuse, right? You find the injury that's lingering and you give him time to heal that.
Yeah. Like, there's a difference between coming back without a significant amount of pain.
Yeah. And, like, maybe he just needs the reps again to get back up to game speed. Maybe playing him is how we're going to get to Morgan Rielly's ultimate state.
Why don't we start at 15 minutes a night?
Right.
Not 23.
He led the Leafs with 22 minutes and 13 seconds. And doesn't make any sense.
Mm-mm.
It just doesn't make
any sense.
sense.
Playing in the highest leverage minutes as well. It wasn't even like
it's not just the minutes.
He just played.
When.
He played in the most important parts of the game. And like, I wish this conversation started at where it normally does, which was 15 minutes into this podcast when you started breaking down the game how we usually do, and all that stuff at the beginning wasn't there because I feel like this is how we normally talk about the game, and this is how we should have talked about it.
But I think it's important to understand, like, you know, when you have an emotional reaction to something, or if I have an emotional reaction to something, you guys will take me aside and go, "Hey, what's that all about?" That's why I was curious about it.
Well, I thought, like, it's a curious thing. I didn't think last night's game warrants bringing up 2013.
See,
you know,
I think well,
like,
it's
and you did.
2013 is in there because it's in the psyche,
right? But I didn't think,
but
like,
it's mostly the recent playoff defeats, and they've made all these personnel changes. It's the same shit. And for as poor as the Rielly-Timmins pairing was, they made all their notable mistakes in the first two periods.
Mm-hmm.
What cost the Leafs the game was Tavares with less than 90 seconds left.
Right.